Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you watched our last video, you would have seen the introduction to the cars we have in our collection here at ATP. And today I wanted to show you the finer details and a bit more of an up-close look on the Evo 9 MR. If you haven't heard the backstory, go and watch the previous video. It explains where the car came from and what happened there. So this car, for all intents and purposes, is an FQ-360. However, it isn't an official FQ-360. The FQ cars were a series of models that Mitsubishi UK developed and sold. It started with the Evo 7. The Evo 6 was the first officially imported car by Mitsubishi. Before that, there were some grey imports, some Evo 6s. I think they saw that there was uptake. So they officially imported the Evo 6. Then when the Evo 7 came along, they introduced the FQ models, which were in various power levels. I think it was 300 and 330 from memory. Maybe there was a 320 as well. I can't remember exactly. From there, we then had the Evo 8, the FQ models, and you might remember the FQ-400, which was famously on top gear and had loads of turbo lag. That was a very scarce model. There weren't many of them, and it kind of got a bit of flack for that, for the turbo lag. Following the Evo 8, along came the 9, the Evo 9, which you'll see here. It had Maybach engine, bodywork very, very similar, a few minor detail changes, and to celebrate that, Mitsubishi did a 300, 320, 340, 360 and a 360 MR. Now the MR, Mitsubishi Racing, was an MR car from Japan, which is different to the regular Evo 9 GSR, and it was a very special car indeed, because the FQ-360 MR, there are only around 200 cars released to the UK. Official numbers aren't known. If you go on the forums and you look on the owners groups, nobody really knows exactly how many there are. I think Andy at John Kirkham was Extreme UK, he had a big involvement in the bringing over of Evos. He was compiling a list of exactly how many were registered and how many were around, but to this day nobody really knows. And more on that point is, apparently there were only ever 5 white official 9 MRs in the 360 trim. So this is potentially the 6th one, although it isn't, because it's not an official car. So what do I mean by not an official car? Well, this is a 9MR from Japan, which was brought over in 2015 by the first UK owner, who I bought the car from. And since then, he's created an evocation of the 360MR by fitting the same upgrades. Because what Mitsubishi did, they brought the cars over and then they fitted a bunch of HKS parts, they did a light remap, they put some Speedline wheels on, added some carbon, and put the 360 and released it through the UK dealers. This car pretty much has the same parts. It's got an HKS exhaust, it's got HKS boost pipes, has the intake. It also has a triple gauge unit inside, which they're stacked, so they're a good quality gauge, black panels, you know, kind of like the original 360MR. The vortex generator, carbon splitter. The only thing I think that separates this from an official 360 is probably the embroidered seats. This has the MR seats, which have red contrast stitching. That is pretty much what sets it apart from an official one. So this is something I'm particularly excited about, and it's the wheels I've managed to find for this car. These are the wheels that came on the 360 MR. They're 17" by 8 Speedline Torinis, which they're very, very hard to find. And since I bought this car in August, I've spent a lot of time trying to find a set of these. I managed to find some from a chap out Worcester way who coincidentally we bought an Evo 10 off about 7 or 8 years ago. He had a set, they were black, I've had them redone. And now, aesthetically, if this passed you in the street, it has everything that makes it an FQ-360. Inside the car, piano black trims, chrome door handles, just like the 360MR. It's got the the dark Evo 9 steering wheel, which comes on all of them. The previous owner fitted this weighted gear knob, which I was going to switch back, but actually it's quite nice to use. So nice place to be. I'm obviously extremely tall, so this is not ideal. I was going to maybe lower the driver's seat. The previous owner of this car even went as far as getting the official badges. Okay, this one isn't official, but it's fairly close. Because from Japan, they don't have this badge across the back. So again, aesthetically, it looks exactly the same as an official one, albeit eagle-eyed Evo fans will know that's not quite the same. HKS exhaust, it's the silent high power. So it's quite understated, actually makes it a car you could drive every day if you wanted to. It's not going to annoy your neighbours and you don't get a load of drone. So then, what is the main difference between this car, the fake FQ-360 MR, and a real one? Well, the main difference is the price, because we've actually bought and sold 3, maybe 4 official cars in the last few years. The cheapest being about 40,000, up to nearly 50,000. In the gunmetal grey especially, we did 3 of those in particular last year. This being an unofficial car, I paid 20 something for this car, which if you want to import an MR now from Japan, it's going to cost you that. But this has had all of the upgrades, probably £10,000 spent on it, carrying out the upgrades, having all the parts fitted. So for me to buy this in the 20s rather than the 40s, I've got the same car but for £20,000 less, which when I was looking for a car in the summer to enjoy the B roads, I didn't want to go and buy the really, really special one at 40 something grand. In essence, the same thing has been created for almost half the money, and the result is the driving experience is exactly the same because the componentry is the same. Okay, the mapping's done independently, it's not an official Rally Art UK HKS ECU remap, but the maps that tuning companies like Auto Talk are doing nowadays are, for all intents and purposes, exactly the same. So super thrilled with this. The wheels are on it now, which just finish it off and make it exactly how I want it. So unfortunately, with all the salty roads that are now we're going to be faced with for the winter, this is going to be tucked up in storage here at ATP. Going to put a car cover over it, put the charger on, and then we'll see it again in spring. So Ryan's going to shoot, or has shot, the B-roll. You're going to see all of the components, all the bits that make this car special, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks with an update on one of our other cars, and we'll see you then.